2 wins out of 3 so far this weekend here in Valencia for the F4 Spanish Championship for young Juan Cota and his Drivex team. The squad that captained F1 superstar Franco Colapinto all the way to Formula One. Now their man has a chance to make it an unprecedented, unbelievable hat-trick of victories, something nobody has managed to achieve so far this year, all 3 races in one weekend. I'm Jake Sanson. Down in the pit lane is Alex Garcia. We are standing on the crest of history, Alex. Can you believe it?
It is unbelievable. We've seen an incredible performance from Juan Cota this weekend. He was quick on the free practice. He was quick in qualifying. He was quick on the races. He was, very agile. He was able to overtake. He was able to defend. He did everything perfectly, and nobody seemed to be able to touch him. So with this kind of performance, of course, if I were a betting man, I would say, I think I can believe it. I think we can see a 3 out of 3. I think we can see the treble. And I think this kid behind us can surprise us once more and get a nice lead, a nice start. And that might be enough. As you know, as you've mentioned before, Valencia is a tricky track to overtake in. So if he can pull off a nice start, I think he will have, let's say, maybe half a race is done with that.
He was certainly talking to us at the end of the race earlier, Alex, about the tyre degradation, how difficult it was to manage the lead of the race earlier on older tyres. Now that they have got a fresher set coming into this one, Keanu Alazari from second on the grid is almost certainly going to be a thorn in his side. How do you rate his chances? Having spoken to the guys down there in the pit lane, what do you think the motivation is like for Keanu Alazari going into this one?
It will be tricky for him, especially considering that he has had a not very convenient penalty in the race before. So this will be a test of his mettle to see if he can, leave that unfortunate behind, that mistake behind, and think only of the championship, only of the race, and get a good result. It's tricky to say. I haven't talked to him especially after the penalty, but I think he's a strong kid. We've seen him doing quite good races, even in tricky conditions, even in recovery races. So I think he should be fine. But this is motorsport. As you know, anything can happen. So I'm expecting it to happen now. But what I can tell you now is that since we have Juan Cota here on the cusp of doing history, who better to rate his chances than team principal, Miguel Angel de Castro? Miguel Angel, thank you very much for spending some time with us. 4 years. 4 years in the waiting since Valdemar Eriksson to be back on top of the podium. What did you give him for breakfast?
You have good records in your head.
I have good memory.
Yeah, long time ago. I think really deserved it. I mean, in the winter series, I think we begin really well. Juan was winning. Pedersen also was on the podium. But at some point, we goes down, and we has been working a lot in all the little things. I think right now is I don't know. I think everything is more what we are looking now. Okay, is a very well prepared car, fantastic maybe. What I can say, but Juan is doing a really good effort, mentally super strong, cool. During the weekend, it's not like he's not permitting any room to nothing different than trying to do the perfection.
And I was going to ask you about that. What difference can a driver make at this level? We know that the cars, of course, they are all the same, beside the obvious setting differences. But when you see a driver doing this, being quick on every session, it's clear he has to be doing something special.
I think the key point is the driver. In this championship, in the Spanish F4 championship, the key point is the driver. Honestly, I've not been watching or looking winning this championship. A guy has not been moving forward. Well, today, just finishing the Baku Formula One, and we saw Colapinto P8.
You must be proud.
We are so proud, but I mean, just to say, like, the drivers are winning here, are top drivers, and Juan is really deserving this performance.
What about the expectations for this race? Will we see the 3 out of 3?
Touch wood, man. I mean, races are longer, cars, I mean, let's try to be calm, and if he do his job and the car is doing the job, I think we should have a good result, but who knows? I mean, the other ones are really good drivers. The ones behind all the MP team, also Campos, I mean, they are really strong, so we can expect everything.
I'll ask you after the race, depending on the result, if you're going to have a celebration day.
If I'm sad, don't ask me.
Yeah, I'll ask you if you're happy then. Thank you very much, Miguel Angel. Happy
Thank
to have
you.
you here.
Thank you.
Good luck.
Ciao.
So those were the words of the boss, the man who is in charge of Juan Cota's team, Drivex, historic team in Spanish motorsports, and as he told us, 4 years in the making, this win. That was a very special moment for them. They've had some tough moments, but when you have a good driver, everything flows much better.
Certainly does, Alex Garcia. Thank you very much indeed for your words. We'll catch up with you at the end of the race. It's going to be a fascinating battle out there. See if you can grab a story or two. Hopefully, we won't need you too much during race 3, but we'll certainly see you afterwards. But, yes.
Thank you. We'll be there if there's a need for it.
So, the starting grid then for the third and final race of the weekend in the F4 Spanish Championship. Juan Cota and Chiano Alazzari, Mattia Colnaghi and Griffin Peebles on the second row, then James Igozzi and Thomas Straumann, Jan Bashrovsky and Lucas Fluscher. The top 10 rounded up by Francisco Macedo and Andre Cardenas. Then Peter Businellos and René Lammers, Maciej Gladish and Matas Reiber. Then Alex Nenovich and Enzo Tarvanichkul all the way down in 16th on this occasion. Then it is Matteo Quintarelli and Ernesto Rivera, Oscar Wirtz and Gabriel Gomez. Adam Alazzari, the younger brother of Keanu, and Renaud Francout in 22nd. Tim Gerhardt, along with Gino Trapper, Christian Cantu, and Yvan David, 26th on the grid. Nerea Marti finds herself alongside Adam Hideg. Then Victor Dobzhansky and Alex Jacobi. Maxi Restrepo, 31st on the grid, along with Lorenzo Castillo. And then the final 4, Filippo Fiorentino, Eloy Gonzalez, Lenny Reed, and rather unfortunately for the British driver, Nathan Ty. He will start from the back of the grid for the Campos Racing team. So a very exciting battle awaits us then for the third race of the weekend here on the Circuit Ricardo Tormo in Valencia. The F4 Spanish Championship, always a very exciting one. F4 has always been ridiculously close, but we've seen already today how the battles can be won or lost in the final and the first couple of laps of the race. Juan Cota has won both of the first 2 races of the weekend, and neither of those races he won from pole position. He managed to beat Griffin Peebles and Mattia Colnaghi off the line for the victory in both the previous races, one yesterday afternoon and once this morning. Now for the third race, if he wants to win the hat-trick, he's got to keep it nice and calm from pole position. He has the best opportunity, but he also has everything to lose. The pressure is dialed up to 11 for Juan Cota. He won his first race of the season and in Spanish F4 at a canter yesterday. He had a lot more pressure from the championship contenders in the race this morning. But if he really wants to get the unthinkable done, he needs to do it from pole position. The hat-trick could come the way of Juan Cota. Nobody has got a hat-trick of victories, 3 wins out of 3 this season. And as we were hearing from Michael Castro and our pit reporter Alex Garcia at the start of the program, nobody had won a race for the Drivex team in 4 years prior to this weekend. Juan Cota genuinely has the chance to not only break that streak, but incredibly, he can also get the job done from all 3 race wins in a single weekend. 50% humidity. The track temperature is sky high at 48 degrees Celsius. We know that tire degradation is going to be at a premium here. It'll be very tricky for all of the contenders to get themselves into a position ready for the start. The last couple of cars on the starting grid are going to be that of Lenny Reed and Nathan Ty. We wait to see them all in position ready for the start of this exciting race. 30 minutes plus 1 lap. Let's see what the battle is going to be like for our drivers as they race for supremacy. 25 points up for grabs. And the lights will come on here at Valencia. When they go out, we'll be racing. We're in position. The lights are on. Let's race at Valencia! Good start from Juan Cota. Much cleaner start from everybody, but there is still a stalled car on the back of the grid. But there's a lot of shuffling of the deck as out in front. Juan Cota is going to get the launch on Chiano Alazzari. No problems at all from him. There's going to be a good start from James Igozzi. He can't quite get round the outside of Griffin Peebles and Mattia Colnaghi to get through into third position. He has to hang back. He has to wait for his moment. But Juan Cota in front of Chiano Alazzari, that's the perfect start. Griffin Peebles down the inside of Mattia Colnaghi. Can he finish that move off the third position? He really is working hard, and the Australian is a wheel in front. But Mattia Colnaghi is still to his right. They're going to try and work their way through. Colnaghi will not budge, and Griffin Peebles is going to spit out wide. There's nothing he can do. Thomas Straumann trying to get back up on the inside line now to go into fourth position. So Griffin Peebles hangs on for P4 as Igozzi has a look up the inside of Thomas Straumann now for fifth position. And there's somebody off in the background. It looks like one of the MP cars towards the tail end of the field. But so far, Juan Cota has done exactly what he came to do. He has put on a great start in front of Chiano Alazzari, and now he leads here in Valencia. Perfect start, exactly the way he would have wanted it to go. And this is exactly the launch he was hoping for. So Juan Cota out in front, Keanu Alazadi second place, Matti Kolnagi third, then it's Peebles, Strauven, Negozzi, Macedo, Lammers, Ninovic and Lucas Flusha. That's your point scorers at the moment. A little bit of a shuffle of the deck in the midfield as drivers are still squabbling for those lower positions. High temperature of track. You've obviously got a decent radius of everything else going on in the mix. It's not easy to get these things moving forward. But certainly the battle is raging for Juan Cota. Out in front of Keanu Alazadi, Mattia Kolnagi and Griffin Peebles, then Thomas Strauven, then James Igozzi. They go across the line. Perfectly clean start. And it looks as though all 36 drivers who started are still rolling. Excellent to see. Everybody's still very much in the mix. But Juan Cota, look at the gap he's built on Keanu Alazadi in one lap. That's almost a second and a half already. Juan Cota really is the king of Valencia. The only person that's going to stop him winning this race is himself. Maciej Gladic has moved ahead of Matas Reiber. That's him up to 11th position. Gabriel Gomez has made a mistake on the opening lap. That's dropped him 2 places behind Adam Alazadi and Enzo Tarnvanichkul. So there's a bit of a shuffle in the deck still between these competitors, but so far it is Juan Cota who leads the way. Keanu Alazadi in second, Mattia Kolnagi third in front of Griffin Peebles, Thomas Strauven and James Igozzi. Now that looks like Griffin Peebles again attacking Mattia Kolnagi. This is not what Kolnagi needed. He managed to gain some points on Keanu Alazari in the previous race, but this time Alazari is ahead of him, and it looks pretty neat and tidy from his point of view. He doesn't really have too much of a pressure cooker on him at the moment. So Cota, Alazari, Kolnagi, Peebles, Strauven, and James Igozzi in the Red Bull colours in P6. The young man from Miami in Florida. Next up, Francisco Macedo, the DXR driver, currently in 7th place in front of René Lammers in his MP car, although, of course, his livery is slightly different to everybody else's in the team, as he carries the front nose cone colours of the Racing Team Nederland livery that his father, Jan Lammers, raced in the latter stages of his racing career. Of course, Jan Lammers, a former Formula One driver and Le Mans 24 Hours winner. Through turn 1, flat on the left-hander. You really have got to be aggressive on that apex to carry as much speed as you can through that inside corner. That is Lucas Flusha we were just looking at, the man who won the first race of the season and one of only 2 Spanish drivers in 2024 to win in the Spanish F4 Championship. Well, Juan Cota has won 2 races out of 2 this weekend. Can he make it 3? So far, the answer is yes. 26 minutes still to go. Keanu Alazadi, second place ahead of Mattia Kolnagi. Griffin Peebles in 4th position ahead of Strauven and Igozzi. We've got yellow flags out on the course. Need to figure out where that is. Oh, that is one of the MPs. That is René Lammers. So René Lammers, he looks like he's got a puncture as well as having gone into the gravel, but he's pulled it well out of harm's way, so I don't see that turning into a safety car. But that's very unfortunate indeed for René Lammers, as Matas Reiber, by the way, has pulled into the pits, I think, to retire as well. So big disaster already, as that's 2 drivers out of the race. Matas Reiber and René Lammers, the son of the Formula One star and Le Mans 24-hour winner Jan Lammers. It looks as though he's had an incident with somebody out there on the course, so his race, certainly for the moment at least, is run. Juan Cota leads Keanu Alazari, then Mattia Kolnagi, Griffin Peebles, Thomas Strauven and James Igozzi. Francisco Macedo, Alex Ninovic, Lucas Flusha and Maciej Gladic. That's your point scorers at the moment. This is the half-hour plus 1 lap rather than the 25-minute plus 1 lap race, which means that there are top 10 positions in the points. So that's Matas Reiber coming back out of the pits by the look of it. So he's had a long pit stop and unfortunately has already fallen a lap behind the rest of the field. Well, this is the duel for second place because Juan Cota is in the lead. Keanu Alazari is well clear in P2. So actually 3rd position is up for grabs here in the F4 Spanish Championship, race 3 in Valencia. Mattia Kolnagi in front of Griffin Peebles, Thomas Strauven and James Igozzi, Francisco Macedo, Alex Ninovic, Lucas Flusha and Maciej Gladic. Outside the points, it's pretty quick. There is the 93, that's Matteo Quintarelli, currently in 16th place. So positions trying to be made up by competitors at the moment. There is how it's currently going. The man on the move is Adam Alazadi, younger brother of Keanu. He's moved all the way to 12th, can you believe, from what was 21st on the grid. Ernesto Rivera is up 7, so too is Alex Ninovic. And Maxi Restrepo has made up 10 places. Adam Ideg has made up 8. Lenny Reed has made up 9. So a lot of good progress there on the first couple of laps then from a lot of our young competitors. But Juan Cota leads here in the F4 Spanish Championship for the third race in a row. He hadn't won a race before this weekend, but it genuinely looks as though he's going to make it 3 from 3. And considering that the Drivix team, who have been watching their prodigy, Franco Colapinto, in Formula One at the Azerbaijan Grand Prix today, the man they took to the F4 Spanish Championship title 5 years ago, they're now seeing their next wunderkind, Juan Cota, doing a grand job in front of championship leader Keanu Alazari. Is this really going to be 3 wins out of 3 for young Juan Cota? I will be so delighted for him. He's certainly now led more laps in Spanish F4 than any Spanish driver this season. Lucas Flucher was obviously a race winner earlier in the year as well, picked up 2 race victories, but now Juan Cota has led more racing laps than any Spanish driver in the championship this year. Excellent work from young Juan Cota. He hasn't had quite the same consistency as Lucas Flucher, who again finds himself in the points, just 1 place ahead of championship contender Maciej Gladish, who's really struggling from his earlier problem. Well, it's not all rosy at Drivx, is it? That is game over for Matis Reiber. Obviously had technical problems initially, and now they've brought him into the pits to retire the car. So while one Drivx is leading the race comfortably, another one is being wheeled into the garage to retire. Bitter disappointment indeed then for Matis Reiber, the Slovakian driver. Well, Juan Cota leads the way. The Spanish talent is looking great out in the lead here. Keanu Alazari second. Mattia Kolnagi third from Griffin Peebles, Thomas Strauben and James Igotzi. Then Macedo, Ninovic, Flucher and Gladish. And Estorvera, the first of the non-point scorers, Adam Alazari, is upstaging his brother a little bit here, all the way up to 12th position from 21st on the grid. That is mammoth effort from young Adam Alazari, who is 2 years Keanu's junior. Absolutely incredible work from those two. Jan Paszczowski, 13th position. Enzo Tarvinichkul in 14th place. Then it is Gabriel Gomez, the Brazilian driver, who we saw come all the way to P6 in the earlier race, now finding himself in 15th position. Matteo Quintarelli and Andres Cardenas next up. Then Tim Gerhardt in front of Oscar Wirtz, Adam Hideg, Maxi Restrepo, Renaud Francote and Peter Businellos. Then it is Ivan David, the Sri Lankan driver, as he finds himself running in 24th ahead of Christian Cantu. Then Juno Trapper. Nathan Tai has worked his way from the back of the grid to 27th. Lenny Reed, Filippo Fiorentino, Eloy Gonzalez, Lorenzo Castillo, Vito Dobrzhansky, Nadej Amarty and Alex Jacobi. And then the 2 retirements from the race that we know of course, Matis Reiber and René Lammers. So still the drivers battle on. Looking for a really exciting showcase all the way through this one. 20 minutes plus the additional lap as well on top of that. Everybody just putting on a decent showcase here as they work closely in operation with each other. Matti Koldagi still under some pressure here from the Australian Griffin Peebles. Certainly having a really exciting run of it as they continue their charge forward. But Keanu Alazari, 2.3 seconds behind Juan Cota. It doesn't look as though the Spanish driver is going to be losing any ground anytime soon. But Griffin Peebles is really stepping up the attack here on Mattia Kolnagi down the main straight. Thomas Strauben, the Belgian, is not too far away either. It's Italy versus Australia versus Belgium. Then James Igotzi, Francisco Macedo, Alex Ninovic, Lucas Flucher and Maciej Gladish. Then the Mexican Ernesto Rivera, Adam Alazari of Dubai. Jan Paszczowski, the Pole, the Thai Enzo Tarvinichkul and the Brazilian driver Gabriel Gomez, the 2-time winner of the Trofeo Ayrton Senna back home in his native Brazil. But look at Juan Cota. Absolutely perfect around the course at the moment, just dancing the death on these curbs. Loving it. The car is just so beautifully set up for him, the way he likes it. He's obviously in the zone in this particular circuit. Some drivers just learn certain circuits faster than others, and it's very much going his way as it currently progresses. Juan Cota looking really strong at this point of proceedings. Keanu Alazari and Mattia Kolnagi, second and third. Peebles in fourth, Strauben in fifth from James Igotzi, Francisco Macedo, Alex Ninovic and Lucas Flucher, then Maciej Gladish, Ernesto Rivera, Adam Alazari, Jan Paszczowski, Enzo Tarvinichkul, and then Gabriel Gomez in front of Andres Cardenas, Matteo Quintarelli, Tim Gerhardt, Oscar Wirtz, and Adam Hideg in the top 20. So there is Thomas Strauben in the 99 for the Rodin Motorsport team. Still having a very solid race of it at this moment in time. Just running a bit in front of James Igotzi, the young man from Miami in Florida, the Red Bull Junior. Still having a very tasty race of it. Hello to all those of you who are watching along on our YouTube stream, really enjoying the battles out there. They are certainly very interesting from third position downwards. Mind you, Juan Cota and Keanu Alazari have well and truly checked out from the rest of the field. This is exactly what Alazari needed. Doesn't matter that Juan Cota is going to get win number 3 out of 3 if it stays like this, because Alazari will still outscore both his championship contenders, Mattia Kolnagi by 3 points and Maciej Gladic by a whopping 14, I think. In fact, no, he'll outscore him by 17 because he's on course for 18 points, while Maciej Gladic is only on course for 1. So it's a bit of a problem for the Polish driver, who is desperately trying not to fall out of championship contention. Don't forget that after this race weekend, there's going to be 68 points left in the championship fight twice over. So that works us out to a grand total of 136 points. Then add the pole positions. 4 times over you get points for pole position because of the 2 separate qualifying sessions. So that works out to be 2 bonus points for pole position on 4 occasions. So that's a grand total of 144 points available after this race ends. So there's still a long way to go in the championship fight. Nothing is obviously sorted at this point, but it's really good to see that the battle is still raging up at the sharp end of the championship battle. Juan Cota, 3 seconds clear of Keanu Alazari. This is an immense performance from the young man from Drivex. But Keanu Alazari still leading the way. Kolnagi, Peebles, Straubing, Egozzi. Now the starting procedure is under investigation, I am told, by race control. Not entirely sure who it's for or what the situation is on that one, but certainly the starting procedure is under investigation. Now that usually means that somebody has transgressed in some way. So we're obviously at a loss at this moment to try and figure out who it is that's in this particular situation. But certainly for Juan Cota out in front, I don't think it's him that needs to be concerned with that. He certainly had a pretty sizable race day of it at the moment. Certainly no major concerns from his side. Now we're going to see a replay of the start. Well, there were a couple of drivers that either didn't get away or just crept a little bit further forward. I didn't really see anybody jumping the start in particular. So maybe somebody spotted something that I haven't, but I certainly couldn't see anything there that was particularly over the realms of legality. So certainly at the moment, I don't think there's anything for many of the teams to be particularly panicked about. But maybe there's 1 or 2 that have just transgressed in some way. We'll try and pick up that story a little bit further on. But certainly at the moment, the race battles are as you see them. Juan Cota, 3.2 clear of Keanu Alazari, the young man from the United Arab Emirates, here in the F4 Spanish Championship on the circuit Ricardo Tormo. Mattia Kolnagi, 3rd position, 3.7 seconds back from Keanu Alazari. They really are in a class of their own, these two. Cota and Alazari have just charged away from the rest of the field here. Griffin Peebles in 4th, Thomas Straubing in P5 in front of James Egozzi and Francisco Macedo. Then Alex Ninovic, the Australian, in front of Lucas Flusha and Maciej Gladic. Ernesto Rivera, the Mexican, ahead of Jan Paszrowski and Adam Alazari. Then Enzo Tarnvanichkul, the young man from Thailand, of course, who is the former junior karting world champion. Then Andres Cardenas, the Peruvian, ahead of Gabriel Gomez. Matteo Quintarelli, the Italian, who is based nowadays in the United Arab Emirates, lives like a handful of the drivers here on the grid in Dubai. Keanu and Adam Alazari both live on the Palm Jumeirah. And in the main part of the city itself, Ivan David takes lodgings in Dubai these days, the Sri Lankan, based in Dubai so that he can be a little bit closer to the European and international motorsport scene. It's a very sensible decision from his point of view because it certainly seems to be working out in his favour. So Juan Cota leads the way, 3.4 seconds clear of Keanu Alazari. Mattia Kolnagi, Griffin Peebles, Thomas Straubing, James Egozzi, and 7th is Francisco Macedo. Alex Ninovic, Lucas Flusha. Maciej Gladic is still in the top 10, but only just. He's got a bit of pressure coming from the Mexican Ernesto Rivera in P11. Some good progress through the field for Nathan Tai. He finds himself now in 23rd position, the British driver, having started dead last, 36th position in this one. 36 cars on the grid, the maximum that you can have in a Spanish F4 race. Those are the rookie standings. There are 25 rookies in the field, hence why you don't see all 36 drivers in that list. And Mattia Colnaghi is the leader of the class, ahead of Thomas Straven and Francisco Macedo, who didn't have the best of races in the previous iteration. So that definitely makes things a little bit trickier from his perspective. So it's definitely going to be an interesting challenge for all of the contenders in this one as they continue to run forward. But Juan Cota ahead of Chiara Marazzari by 3.7, who is ahead of Mattia Colnaghi by 3.7. Then Peebles, Straven, Egozzi, Macedo. Ninovic is about a second back. Then you have Flusha, Gladish, Rivera, Pestrovsky, Adam Alazzari, and Enzo Tormo. So the third race of the weekend here on the circuit, Ricardo Tormo in Valencia in Spain. The former city that hosted Grand Prix racing, not on this particular circuit, of course, although many Formula One cars have been tested around this circuit in the past 25 years. This circuit this month is celebrating 25 years since the circuit first opened, and it's hosted all sorts of major competitions across the likes of Euro Cup 3, MotoGP, and the World Touring Car Championship, and of course the F4 Spanish Championship as well. I've been coming here for all sorts of events over the last few years. The last time I was here prior to this weekend was, of course, the Clio Cup Series last year. And they didn't give us anywhere near as many green laps of racing as these guys have done this weekend. There's only been two independent safety car periods over the course of the entire weekend. So very impressive. Look at how hard Chiara Alazzari is pushing, trying to close up on Juan Cota. Either that, or that just shows you how little the grip of the tyres he's got, because the car was so flamboyant through that second corner. The back end was stepping out. He was having to overcorrect to get the car back into position again, but he is the only driver who is able to hold a candle to Juan Cota. But if Juan Cota was not so perfect this weekend, look at the gap that Alazzari has pulled out on the rest of the field if you take that out of the game. 3.4 seconds on everybody else. So impressive. Juan Cota and Chiara Alazzari just in a league of their own compared to everybody else. A very tough and a very tricky situation for all of the contenders out there as they continue in close proximity. Cota, Alazzari, and Colnaghi looking likely to be your top three. Dare I say it, and I'm going to touch wood while I say it, are we actually going to have a third race of the weekend that not only has a triple header victory for Juan Cota, but also no safety car? Well, you can bet that now that I've said it, I've jinxed it, so it's never going to be the case, is it? Now that I've said it, we'll almost certainly get a safety car in the next 60 seconds. Hopefully that won't be the case. Cota goes through. Can you believe that a driver who has not won a single F4 Spanish race all season is on the verge now of making it a hat-trick this weekend? He really will be the king of Valencia if he manages to get the job done. He's got 10 minutes and 40 seconds plus the additional lap on top of that to finish off the job. It really will be a fabulous hat-trick for our man in the lead, Juan Cota. Can he get the job done here in Valencia? Certainly the real battle out on the track appears to be for third position, as Jan Pestrovsky in the Griffin Core by Campos car has now moved ahead of Ernesto Rivera. So he's got ahead into 11th position. That certainly helps him out a little bit. Puts him into a much healthier position to try and get that final point off his countryman, Maciej Gladish. So still the battles rage on here. Cota is 5 seconds clear of Chiara Alazzari. 5 seconds clear. Can you believe it? In the F4 Spanish Championship, his lead over championship leader Chiara Alazzari is 5 seconds. Look at him. Juan Cota just dominating out in front. This isn't just a great victory. This is a giant crushing win for Juan Cota. Alazzari in second. Colnaghi, Peebles, Straven, Egozzi, Macedo, and Ninovic all relatively close together. This is ultimately going to come out better in the long run for Chiara Alazzari, being in second position ahead of his two championship rivals, Mattia Colnaghi in third and Maciej Gladish in 10th. It certainly puts him into a much stronger position heading to the next round of the championship. And that's exactly where he wants to be. So it's all going very well indeed for our contenders as they continue to showcase our fabulous battle to end the season. The next round of the championship, of course, will be at Jerez de la Frontera, the scene of the dramatic conclusion to the 1997 Formula One World Championship when Jacques Villeneuve was clattered into by Michael Schumacher in his Ferrari. The latter would be disqualified that year's championship. aftermath. But there have been some amazing races at Jerez de la Frontera in the past of motorsport, and we're going to have 3 of them next time out on the first weekend of October. Oh, and a mistake from Chiara Mazzari. He ran very wide there on the exit of the left-hander. He's got to be careful about things like that, because if he didn't back off, which I almost certainly would think him to do, he's a very calculated driver, is Chiara Mazzari, then he's running the risk there of getting warned for track limits. And interestingly, the number 29, no respect, communication number 2, under investigation. That is what I'm being told. That is for car number 29. That is Gino Trappa, the Argentine driver, who is currently down in 27th position. Well, that is a very cryptic race control message. I've never seen that race message before, so I'm not entirely sure what that one means. But clearly, something to do with a lack of communication or incorrect communication of some description. No idea on that one. Well, Chiara Mazzari comes across the line. Having run wide on that turn, he is now 6.3 seconds behind Juan Cota. Now, if you are a Spanish billionaire and you're thinking, well, Fernando Alonso doesn't have that long left in Formula One, we need to put our resources behind the next Fernando Alonso, the next Carlos Sainz. When you're looking at the F4 Spanish Championship and you're seeing Juan Cota 6.5 seconds ahead of the championship leader, who in turn is 2.7 seconds ahead of his closest rival in the championship, I mean, that is extraordinary. Juan Cota can really be very happy with the way things are currently progressing for him and the Drivex team, who had to go 4 years before their previous victory. That is absolutely amazing that they look like they're going to get 3 in a row. The hat-trick this weekend. And certainly, as far as the battle for the championship is concerned, one step closer to him getting a lot higher up the ranks. But this is an extraordinary effort, an absolutely extraordinary effort. And you have to go quite a long way back to find a driver who has won 3 race weekends, 3 races in the same weekend. The last man to do it, of course, was Christian Ho, the Singaporean, who won all 3 races at the season finale last season at the Catalunya circuit near Barcelona. There's Maciej Gladish, the man who has won several races this season, and certainly doing a fair job at the moment. Still running in the top 10 after a miserable qualifying session. But the man who took the victory at race 3 in Paul Ricard and in races 1 and 2 at Motorland Aragon back in August, back in July even. That just tells you how long it's been since the last race of the championship. But they're still doing a grand job out at the sharp end of the field here. Juan Cota, who is looking likely to make it another 25 points. That is going to put him, by my mathematics, that's going to put him on a grand total of 97 points. And that puts him up there with the Strauven, Zigotzis and Peebles of this world. That's going to shoot him up to the lower end of the top 6 in the championship in 1 weekend. Absolutely magic for Juan Cota. Really, really good performance so far. Chiara Mazzari in 2nd. Mattia Colnaghi is 3rd. Griffin Peebles P4 from Thomas Strauven and James Zigotzi. Then Francisco Macedo, Alexander Ninovic, and then Lucas Flusha and Maciej Gladish. So there is Griffin Peebles. He has now, that's Chiara Mazzari. He has started to drop back a little bit from Mattia Colnaghi. Colnaghi's pulled in a little bit, and look at the gap opening up between Cota and Alazzari. Let's not forget that this is the F4 Spanish Championship. They all have the same car, and yet Chiara Mazzari is 7.3 seconds back from Juan Cota after 16 laps of racing. In fact, as he comes across the line, make that 7.5 seconds. Absolutely extraordinary. Magnificent work from Juan Cota in this weekend. They literally have just taken command of everything. And even though Christian Ho won all 3 races last year, I'm not entirely sure whether he led every single lap of last year's race weekend. He probably did, actually, based on the fact that he started from pole position for all 3 of those races. But that just tells me that this is even more impressive from Juan Cota, because he's only started on pole position for 1 of these 3 races. And yet, by the time he comes through in a little under 5 minutes' time, he will have won all of them. Absolutely extraordinary. A very tame race, it has to be said, this one. Johan David continues to make up positions. He's up to 21st place now on Adam Hideg. But Juan Cota is 7.7 seconds ahead of Chiara Malazzari. They're both in F4 cars. That is extraordinary pace from Juan Cota. But there is Chiara Malazzari doing exactly what he needs to do as far as his championship aspirations are concerned. He may have had the problems yesterday in race 1. He salvaged some good points in race 2. But now he will come through to be second position if it all stays like this. A full 2 seconds clear of Mattia Colnaghi. And the pressure's off him because even though he is going to finish second, the man in front of him is not really a championship contender at this point. I mean, unless he comes up with 6 more victories in the remaining 6 races of the year and an absolutely catastrophic disaster befalls Chiara Malazzari, Mattia Colnaghi and Maciej Gladish, you're probably not going to see Juan Cota battling for the championship title in 2024. What you are going to see him, though, is become a strong candidate to step up with the Drivex team into Euro Cup 3 next season, which is almost certainly where we're going to get to see this young man as well. Chiara Malazzari on the crest of becoming champion in 2024 in the F4 Spanish Championship. There is Mattia Colnaghi running in 3rd position, but also the leading rookie at the moment ahead of Griffin Peebles and Thomas Strauben. 6th place for James Igozzi. Francisco Macedo, after his retirement in race 2, now finds himself running in the top 10 where he deserves to be. This is an interesting little battle as locking up under brakes. That's one of the Cram cars. So this is Hideg, Restrepo, Franco and Cantu. 4 different drivers from 4 different teams battling away. Getting close, actually. Again, Adam Hideg, the Hungarian, just trying to pinch Maxi Restrepo. Restrepo going the long distance run, hoping for a run round the outside. Can't quite make the bid. And then we have Renaud Franco in the GRS car and Christian Cantu in the TC racing machine. TC, of course, standing for Thibaut Courtois, the former Belgian international goalkeeper in football. Now running his own race team here in Spain. We actually heard ahead of race 2 our interview with Alex Garcia down in the pits with Imanol Zubicari, who is the team principal of TC Racing. They scored their first ever points in yesterday's encounter. They scored several more in the earlier race this morning. Sadly, they don't look like they're going to repeat that feat with Gabriel Gomez in race 3. Contact between cars 77 and 29 in turn 1 is under investigation. That is Lenny Reed and Gino Trappa. So I'm not quite sure what's happened there between Lenny Riet and Gino Trappa, the 2 drivers, the German and the Argentine. But certainly the Monlau and DXR teams will be coming up with their excuses and their stories to try and figure out how they explain away that one. Coming into the closing stages of this race, who would have thought that we would have a completely lights to flag victory without any interruptions from safety cars, without any major shunts? We have had retirements, namely René Lamas, who had a problem going off the road, parked it by a marshal post. No need for a safety car there. Matis Reiber had a mechanical problem that put him out of the race, and I think Peter Buzinelos in the road-in has now parked his car in pit lane to retire as well. So let's see if Juan Cota can finish the job. In fact, there's a good chance that Juan Cota can finish the job here with a lead of 10 seconds. He currently leads Chiara Malazzari by 9 seconds, would you believe it? Now, Juan Cota is going to cross the line to start the next lap. In fact, he's already done so. So he's going to have 2 laps to go. 3, 2, 1. That is time. Time is up here in Valencia, the 3rd and final race of the weekend. And Juan Cota is on course to taking the hat-trick. Absolutely incredible achievement if he's able to do that. In the Spanish F4 Championship, the last person to win the hat-trick in a single season was Christian Ho, the Singaporean, who won all 3 races at Catalunya last season. Absolutely phenomenal display and an incredible talent. There have been a couple of drivers who have won hat-tricks. You've only got to think back a short while to 2022 when Nicolas Soloff and Hugh Barter were both triple hat-trick winners in the 2022 season. But I'm fairly sure, I'm looking back through my statistics, I don't think a Spanish driver has ever won all 3 races during an F4 Spanish Championship weekend. I think we're about to get history. Certainly Kaz Havercourt got the job done in the past as well, back in 2020 when he was on his run to the championship. And I think Delano Van Toff did it at Jerez as well in 2021, the late, great Delano Van Toff. But I'm fairly sure that if this finishes off the way it's currently looking, we are going to get our first ever Spanish hat-trick winner. Ironically, the last Spanish-speaking hat-trick winner to get the job done in the F4 Spanish Championship was a lad called Franco Colapinto. And Formula One fans certainly know who he is now. In fact, you've got to go all the way back to 2018 for the previous triple hat-trick winner of a Spanish F4 weekend. That was Guillaume Pujol, all the way back at Aragon in May 2018. 6 years it's been since a Spanish driver has won all 3 races in an F4 Spanish Championship weekend, and certainly the first time in 11 months that any driver has been able to make it happen. If you'd have said anyone's going to win 3 races in one weekend this year, you probably would have said, well, Chiara Malazzari's got a good chance. So has Mattia Colnaghi. Even Lucas Fluccia's got a good chance after race 1 this year. And what about that young Maciej Gladys? He's got some great talent. He won 3 races in a row, but he certainly hasn't won 3 races in a weekend. You're about to see that happen here in Valencia. Juan Cota is going to get the most unbelievable result imaginable. Drivex have waited 4 years since their last race victory. That was all the way back in Jerez to the week. Now they're going to see their man, having taken the win yesterday, having taken the win this morning. Juan Cota is going to be the first Spanish driver in 6 years to win the hat-trick in one F4 Spanish Championship weekend. Arise, Sir Cota! Juan Cota is the king of Valencia. He wins race 1, race 2, and now race 3 for Drivex. Absolutely amazing. The hat-trick hero of Spain, Juan Cota, becomes the first driver this year, the first Spanish-speaking driver in 5 years, and the first Spanish driver in 6 years to win all 3 races in the F4 Spanish Championship in one weekend. It's a fairy tale for Drivex, for Spain, and for Juan Cota. Chiara Malazzari second, Mattia Colnaghi third, from Griffin Peebles, Thomas Straven, and James Igozzi. Can you believe it? Juan Cota had not won a race coming into this weekend. Now, he's won all 3 of them here. That is an amazing achievement, an incredible performance. Absolutely extraordinary. Juan Cota has won by, get this, 10.3 seconds. That is monstrous dominance. What an incredible result for Juan Cota. Only the second Spanish driver this season to take a victory. And he's won all 3 of them. That is unbelievable. The emotions will be emphatic down at Drivex, and this party is going to be a big one. Their team principal, Mikel Castro, was talking to Alex Garcia before the start of the race, how proud they were of Franco Colapinto, their prodigy, who came through with them 5 years ago to win the F4 Spanish Championship. He was a hat-trick winner a couple of times that season, but they have not won a race since 2020 before this weekend, and now they've won all 3 of them. That is such an amazing achievement here in the F4 Spanish Championship at Valencia. So the competitors come through, the finish in style. Ladies and gentlemen, the King of Valencia, arise, Sir Juan. Out of the car gets Don Juan. Absolutely incredible. 3 times. Look at that. P1 3 times over. Juanito has done it for Drivex. P1, P1, P1. Arise, Sir Juan. Don Juan has become the king of Valencia. Absolutely incredible weekend. Flawless. He has led all but about 400 meters of racing this weekend. Won race 1 and 2 from second on the grid. Got a better start than the pole man on both occasions. Romped away from pole position in race 3. the first man to win a hat-trick in nearly a year. The first Spanish-speaking driver to win a hat-trick in F4 Spanish Championship since Franco Colapinto. The first Spaniard to do it since 2018, when Guillaume Peugeot got the job done at the very first weekend of the 2018 season. What an achievement. What an absolutely incredible performance from Juan Cota. You can see the highlights to the right on your screen, but the scenes down here, it's an absolute party. They are celebrating like they've just won the championship. That is what it's going to feel to them. Gianni Malazzari, though, does pick up a second place ahead of Mattia Colnaghi in third, who wins the rookie race. That keeps the championship favourable for the young man from Dubai. Peebles fourth from Strava, Negozzi, Macedo, Ninovic, and Lucas Plusha ahead of Maciej Gladic in 10th position. Juan Cota is just getting weighed at the weighbridge, and then hopefully when he is done, we will get a word with him. So there's your provisional result. Juan Cota, 10.3 seconds clear of Gianni Malazzari. Mattia Colnaghi in third and wins the rookie race. Griffin Peebles, Thomas Straben, James Negozzi, Francisco Macedo, Alex Ninovic points on his debut this weekend. Lucas Plusha and Maciej Gladic in 10th position. Then it's Jan Piotrowski ahead of Andres Cardenas, Adam Alazzari ahead of Enzo Tarvadisco, Gabriel Gomez 15th ahead of Oscar Wirtz, then Matteo Quintarelli, Tim Gerhardt, Nathan Tai for all the way back to 19th ahead of Ernesto Rivera in 20th. Then we have Jovan David fighting back to 21st ahead of Adam Hideg, Maxi Restrepo in front of Gino Trappa, then Lorenzo Castillo, Alexander Jacobi, Victor Dobzhansky, Filippo Florentino, Christian Cantu and Eloy Gonzalez. Then Renault Franco ahead of Lenny Reed and Nerea Marti. Sadly, there were retirements for Peter Buzinelos, Martus Reiber and Rene Lammers. Absolute scenes down here in the pit lane for the Drivex team. Juan Cota had not won a race before this weekend. Now he's won 3 of them. Absolutely incredible. And Drivex had waited 4 years for their last victory. Now they've got a hat-trick. Absolutely extraordinary. Themes and shades of the days of Franco Colapinto when they won the title together in 2019. There you go. The King of Valencia, Don Juan. Absolutely incredible. What an amazing weekend. I'm fairly confident he led all but 400 meters of the weekend in the end. Just astonishing. Who would have thought that Juan Cota would come in and win all 3 races this weekend? I wish I'd predicted it. I wish I'd put a bet on it, because those odds would have been very long indeed. Look at the conditions of the tyres. That shows you how hard Juan Cota was pushing. Those tyres don't even look like they're made of rubber. They look like they're made of plasticine. That looks like that's come straight out of Wallace and Gromit. But absolutely incredible to see how much hard work Juan Cota and the team have done. And I think they're quite keen to get onto the podium and celebrate the achievement. What an extraordinary performance. But there is Don Juan with Alex Garcia.
So we are here with the winner of, I was going to say winner of race 3, but I should say winner of 3 races this weekend. Juan Cota, if you will allow me, Your Majesty, the floor is yours.
Thank you so much.
What an amazing weekend. I have no words, so you tell them to me.
I have no word too, so yeah, very excited about this weekend. We have 1 pole position, 3 victories, and yeah, it feels really good. This result is that we want and what we deserve after all the work that we do with all my team during these years.
So you are only the 2nd Spanish driver to ever do a hat-trick in the championship. So that must feel like the perfect weekend. I know it's not perfect, maybe a fastest lap point here or there, but it's very close. What are your expectations for, you know, Jerez now and Barcelona after that?
Yeah, really happy about this. I think I'm the first driver in this season to do 3 of 3.
Yes.
So yeah, that's a really good fact. And then yeah, thinking about Jerez now with so many, I have so many. Yeah, I don't have no words, sorry. I want to go to Jerez and win again and try to fight for the championship.
Big party today?
Yeah, a little bit, only a little bit.
Okay,
yeah.
I'll give you a small data that I think you're going to love. I know that your birthday is on the 19th of September. You know whose birthday is on the 19th of September?
Who?
Ricardo Tormo, Cheste, the circuit. So your 17th birthday is on the same day as the 25th in Valencia circuit. So this was destiny.
Yeah, for sure. So happy also, and yeah, So one of the best gifts for my birthday.
Enjoy it.
Thank you so much.
So those were the words from the driver, and I think we can have a small moment to talk to the boss. Miguel Angel, we talked in the grid, and you told me, yeah, I know, I said, I will ask you after the race. You said, if you see me happy, you can come to me. You're happy, and I come to you. How does it feel?
No, really happy because it's a bit incredible. I mean, this championship for me is super tight, super tight, and being able to do that in 3 races in a row, I mean, I'm just waking up. Maybe tomorrow I'm waking up. No, it's just quite an amazing achievement because it's a really tough championship to be able to do things like that. So. Yeah, you was right. Thank you very much. Your prediction was...
Yes.
My one always...
Well, it's normal. Your prediction had to be more prudent, you know? Okay, so I have to ask you, expectations for Jerez and Barcelona?
No, well, 2 different tracks. I think we can expect the best because I think Juan, that is the key thing, as I told you, is very strong right now. I mean, I'm just amazing how has been controlling the pressure under the safety cars, in the restarts, in situation like he has not been able, I mean, not handling before. It's the first time ever, even in karting, no? I mean...
And he did it like a champion. 10 seconds in this race is unbelievable. I have no words.
Amazing.
Anyway, Miguel Angel, I'll let you go enjoy. So, congratulations. Time to celebrate now.
Thank you very much.
Those are the protagonists. Driver, team principal. I think everyone's happy today. I think many of the rest of the teams are also happy because this is a very popular win. I should say 3 very popular wins from this one man. As you were saying, Jake, King of Valencia.
Yeah, what a fiesta week it's going to be for Don Juan and his team principal at Drivex. Absolutely incredible. I mean, 3 wins out of 3, not just because he led pretty much every lap of the entire weekend, but as you pointed out to team principal Michael Castro, the way that he held his nerve through all 3 races, particularly the third one, to pull out a 10-second gap on the championship leader. Phenomenal pace.
That was incredible, and it's also, I'll let you go to the podium, but it's also only the 12th driver to do a hat-trick in the history of the championship, and 21st time it happened in the whole history. So those are the numbers, but I think this is more than numbers. This is emotion. This is, you know, the kind of thing that you see on the track and you think, hey, this kid might be something special after all.
I think you're absolutely right, Alex. Thank you very much. Muchas gracias for your reporting down in the pit lane. We'll see you at Jerez de la Frontera. Gracias, mi amigo.
Looking forward to it. Enjoy the rest of the podium.
I tell you who is going to enjoy it. The men on the top of the podium, Juan Cota and the Drivex team have blitzed this entire weekend. I never would have predicted that. 3 races out of 3. Absolutely astonishing. The Drivex team had to wait 4 years since Valdemar Eriksson at Jerez in 2020 was their last race victory. Not only do they get 1, but they get all 3. Congratulations to Mattia Kolnagi, rookie race winner. Another strong argument for him to be the Rookie of the Year in 2024. And let's give a note to Chiara Balazzari, a 2nd place finish when he needed to. As far as the championship is concerned, he still has a strong lead with 2 weekends to go. And it's still very much looking good for Chiara Balazzari to be this year's champion. But what a performance from Juan Cota. The 2nd ever Spaniard to take a hat-trick in F4 Spanish Championship. And the first since Leon Pujo in 2018. The last Spanish-speaking champion to get that done was Franco Colapinto back in 2019. Juan Cota, the man who shares his birthday with the circuit Ricardo Tormo. Both were founded on the 17th of September, just 8 years apart. And what a way for the 25th anniversary of the circuit Ricardo Tormo to be established. 25 years of racing on this circuit, 17 years of excellence for young Juan Cota. and he will come of age in magnificent fashion after this hat-trick. The second ever for a Spaniard in the F4 Spanish Championship, and certainly the first for nearly a year in the championship. The first for a Spanish native speaker in the F4 Spanish Championship since Franco Colapinto back in 2019. How appropriate that at that time Colapinto was the champion for Drivex. The championship will thunder on the first weekend of October at Jerez de la Frontera, and the championship battle will still be raging between Chiara Valazzari, Mattia Kolnagi and Maciej Gladish. The battle will continue. There are 6 races to go, but this weekend it's all been about one man with the plan. Don Juan Cota, winner 3 times over for Drivex. We'll see you at Jerez de la Frontera. Adios, amigos!